Good morning.
Good morning. So what are we doing today?
So today we are going to be talking about commission objections. There are commission objections that come up when you're listing a home, and we're starting to see more compensation and commission objections coming up when you're working with your buyers now. So today we're going to talk about some dialogues, some value proposition, things that you can utilize when you are faced with these difficult discussions when your buyer says, why do you get paid so much? Or will you rebate a portion of your commission to me?
Yeah. So mainly buyers today.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the buyer
talk about
side.
the seller side. We'll do a listing presentation in the coming weeks, months, as we roll all of these out. What's our number one takeaways that we were talking about that we want to make sure? So we'll give you our best thoughts, ideas, and it's not just a checklist of do this. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and there's not one dialogue that you're going to walk away with. If the buyer says this, you respond with that. It's not that simple. I wish it was.
It'd be great.
But we'll
This
tell
is
you
why
some
we
of
get paid. No.
some of our experiences and things that have worked for us in the past.
But we were talking about, at the end of this discussion, I guess the discussion between us, and you guys posting some notes or thoughts.
Yeah, what do we want you guys to walk away with is what we were trying to determine when we were preparing for this.
So I think we kind of came up with three things that were, at the end of this, what do we want you to have learned or to start thinking about? If you haven't thought about it, go and sit down with yourself and figure out these things so that when you're confronted with, why do you get paid what you get paid? What is your value?
Will you discount your rate? You have some sort of response that you're confident in relaying.
So one of the takeaways we're hoping to get is,
We're going to talk about, do you do a buyer presentation?
yeah, what's your presentation?
What's your presentation? When you sit down with your buyer and you explain to them how you're going to work, what does that look like? And what do you cover? Because really, you're setting the stage at that point for what your value is.
So if you don't have a presentation, when we're done talking with this, hopefully we're going to give you some ideas of what should be in your consultation. What should you be talking about when you're first sitting down with your client? And maybe it's a client that you've worked with in the past, but you should reinforce what you're doing.
Yeah, and I use the word presentation a lot. Buyer presentation, don't think of it as a presentation. You're not standing up in front of this buyer, showing a slideshow, giving them bullet points. You're having a conversation.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that you start thinking about that if you haven't already. The second thing is, what do you deserve to get paid? If you are confronted with someone saying, will you rebate? And maybe you will. Maybe there's a dollar amount. Maybe there's a percentage amount. Maybe there isn't. But you need to know up front, right now.
What's that bright
today,
line?
Yeah, or at the end of the day. Yeah. What's your bright line? Yeah, where are you on this? So that you can make a wise business decision that you're happy with and you can move forward and not feel that you're not sure who you are or what you deliver and you're kind of all over the place. And if you do negotiate, that's up to you. If you don't, that's up to you. And again, we're going to hopefully give you some ideas of what we've done in our past and to overcome this and where we are as far as what we'll do. Where will we?
And hopefully you will pick a system and stick to that system. And not for this buyer, I'm going to do this because of this scenario. Or this buyer, I'm going to do something completely different because I'm in a different place in my business. Maybe I'm just learning and it's all good practice. We want to keep you guys moving forward in a very structured manner so that you're not discounting yourself for one person, not discounting for another, and setting the precedent that if your two clients see each other at a client appreciation party and one learns that they were charged more than another, you're going to have an issue on your hands.
And then the third one, I forgot what the third one was.
It was find something that you're good at that you can lean into. So maybe you're an amazing negotiator. Maybe you're really good with contracts. Maybe you're really good at educating people in the process. What is your skill that you really get to lean into and say, this is what sets me apart. This is what I'm really good at. And this is part of what you get by working with me versus working with someone else. So what is that distinguishing feature?
Yeah, I like that. So 3 things. Your homework.
Your
We'll say
homework.
this is your homework.
Yeah.
Do you have a buyer consultation? Do you know what that looks like? Do you
Yep.
do it every single time? What is your business model?
Yep.
How much do you charge? When do you charge it? And if you were to ever discount, rebate, what's that look like? And then third, what sets you apart? What are your strengths? So, end of this, work on this, sit at home. And this isn't something you do in 5 minutes.
No,
I mean,
this
is your business.
This may take you weeks to formulate.
Yeah, and it might change, new iterations throughout your career. And here's why I think this is extremely important for buyers right now. In the past, and somewhat today, you will hear people say, I like working with buyers because I don't have to tell them or sell them my price. That is probably the scariest thing about doing a listing presentation, is going and saying, I want that 6%, 7%, 5%, whatever that listing is, and it's $1 million listing, and you have to sit down here and do this wonderful consultation presentation and show them why your value is what it is. And for $50,000, even though I give co-op, I mean, it's
scary.
It's scary.
It's
And
intimidating.
you really have to have it just knocked out of the park. I mean, to be a really good listing agent, you really
You have
got
to know what you do.
who you are. Working with buyers, we've been able to say, the seller pays my commission. It doesn't cost you anything to work with me. Don't worry about it. So it's been an easy one to kind of just say, we're friends or whatever, and just let it kind of pass. The buyer or the seller pays. The seller pays. And we've been doing that for years. Well, I mean, it's been at least 10 years now where we're seeing other companies out there that might not be giving a co-op that you feel is representative of what you want to do.
Yeah,
you know?
maybe it's a flat fee or something that's substantially less than what you're accustomed to seeing on most listings.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen $1,500 flat fee. We've seen 2%. Maybe you want 3%. And I think the industry is going in the way, not too far from now, where there may not be a co-op fee offered. Where you actually have your listing contract with your buyer and what they're going to pay you, and the listing seller has their listing contract, what they're going to pay to market. And we're going to totally separate those. I just read that Realogy, who owns Coldwell Banker, ERA, Sotheby's, Century 21, they're actually pushing for this. And this all stems from that lawsuit about commissions in the MLS and
sellers being forced to pay something that maybe they didn't agree to, because that's the way we've always done it.
So I can see in the not too far distant future that you're going to have to actually be articulating your value and getting a listing agreement fee with your buyer.
So let's start practicing now so that we're prepared if that transition ever happens.
And even before that transition, right now you're already being confronted with maybe a past client that says, man, I'm hearing about these companies out there that will rebate a percentage back to me. Or
will you do that? Hey, I've bought and sold with you a few times.
Or you're seeing the companies out there that, like we said, are flat fees, and you have put in your listing agreement with the buyer that says, in the event that they're not going to pay me my 3% or 2.8 or whatever you put in there, you're going to make up the difference. I know a lot of agents out there actually don't hold that to their buyers. They try and get it somehow in the contract, but I think that's going to be more prevalent.
Yeah, I agree.
So this is happening today. It's real, and you need to be good at what is your value? How can you help that buyer? And what does that buyer need? So all the way back to the first thing we talked about, having that buyer consultation and sitting down with them. And it could be as short as a half hour. Let's have coffee. Let's talk about it.
I want to learn more about you and what you need.
Yeah. So, and remember, this is about them. So when you do a buyer consultation, and we'll do a whole buyer consultation in the future, but this is what we're trying to get you to think about, how to overcome the objection of commission. It's not just a, here's the answer. So the buyer consultation that you're going to want to put together, you want to show your value. What's the process of buying a home? If it's a first-time home buyer, that's a real easy one to go through because they are just lost.
Yeah, they need your guidance so much, from connecting them with trusted partners for lending, home inspections, to what does a contract to buy and sell even look like? And maybe we go through a mock contract and we go paragraph by paragraph and explain it before we're in the heat of the moment going, I want to buy this house and there's 25 offers and now I'm trying to teach you what this contract is. I mean, there's so much you can do for these first-time home buyers before you even set foot in a house.
So obviously, the listing agreement you go over, and you get your buyer agency with them, and you explain to them the process of how to buy a home, how to write an offer. But then you're going to find out what is important to them. And maybe this is a buyer that's purchased homes before. What are they looking for in having the help of an agent?
Yeah, that's one of my first questions I asked is, what are you looking for in a realtor? And if they've worked with other realtors, what is something that maybe your previous realtor didn't do that you hope your next realtor will do? And that creates a lot of conversation, which is perfect because we're honing in on what's important to them and what do they need the most from us. Because what we think is valuable may not be valuable to them.
And that's definitely changed over the years. You know, obviously when I first started the business, it was much different 30 some years ago. I mean, literally,
just a little.
Yeah, we're making jokes here on Facebook about, you know, say how long you've been in the business without saying how long you've been in the business. And Stacey and I were saying, you know, I said the keys are hanging in the listing. I mean, truly, we didn't have lock boxes.
Yeah, so the seller would give you keys and you would hang them on a nail or in a secured cabinet in the listing office.
The secured cabinet would be nice. I don't think we even did that. And then the MLS book. Mm-hmm. We had there was no MLS computer system. Yeah. It was in a book, and the book would come out every 2 weeks. So
yeah, so the book was literally printed up, and it was like this thick, and you would page by page go through and look for listings for your buyer.
So obviously back then, information is what the buyers wanted from us, and because we knew what was available, we knew where they were. They didn't know. And then when the MLS came along and the internet came along, we thought our jobs were gone. They don't need us. They don't, you know, everyone can get the information. But lo and behold, we're still here and they still need us. But what they need us for is different, because I would say a very large percentage of buyers probably do find their home, or at least in the group of homes that they end up searching online.
And they say, hey, Stacey, I want to see this one, and this one. And one of those is what they write an offer on.
So you can't talk about, oh, I'm this wonderful person who is good at understanding what your needs are and I can go find your house. That's what I used to do. I was great at that. So what now do people need? Well, in this market, especially, they need a great negotiator. Someone, what's the number one thing? They want the house. So
how do they get the house?
Yeah, it's not, I want a great deal. If you hear someone saying that, I want a great deal, they are in the wrong time. We are not here to get great deals. A great deal is getting a home. Mm-hmm. That's the great deal. How do you win? Well, you need a really savvy negotiator, realtor, to help you get that win. And that's probably one of the biggest questions we have from you guys is, what else can I do? What else can I do? Yeah. And you having the keys of knowing how to structure an offer, how to talk to the listing agent, get some inside information without being too inside information so that the agent doesn't know they're really showing their hand, mm-hmm. is critical. And how do you convey that to the buyer that this is part of your value?
Yeah, and so taking the time to really go through those steps and figure out what are the questions, what's the process, and what can I lean into? And that was always my thing. I was a bulldog negotiator, and I've always worked really hard in learning my contracts so that I can convey to my clients that There are ways that you can win an offer, and I'm current on knowing what today's market, what it takes in today's market, but I'm also going to save you money in the process of inspections, of structuring the contract, because there's certain things that certain agents overlook in the real estate contract that can actually cost thousands of dollars. So it's things like that that you need to figure out, how do I do my business and what am I good at?
And again, this stems from that client or prospective client that says, can you rebate me your commission? Why do you cost so much? And so being able to articulate, well, let me tell you what I do. Let me tell you how I work. Those are great little phrases. I love those. Let me tell you what I do. Let me tell you how I work. And being able to share the importance, and that's by asking them, what's your number one thing? To get a home. Great. Let me tell you how I work, and this is why I get compensated the way I get compensated, because of my skills, my expertise, my professionalism, my dedication to this industry. I have honed my skills that are going to help you benefit. This is why I get paid what I get paid. Mm-hmm. And then being able to articulate, how do you negotiate, and why is that important in getting that fee that I deserve? That I
and I think that's key right there is showing them the value. If you just sit here and say, I have this much experience, I sell this many homes, I have taken this many education classes, I have all these abbreviations behind my name, all of that is great, but how does that help your client? So being able to say, because I've taken the GRI or the CRS, I have honed these skills, and this is how it's going to benefit you in the offer process. That's going to resonate with them a lot more.
And I always like stories.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully when I do the ACU, I throw in a story or two. And if you could maybe say why you got into the industry. I know that I've talked to a lot of you when you get into the business and ask you, why are you getting it? And many of you have said, I worked with an agent, and one of two scenarios I hear. One, it looked like a really fun, interesting profession, and I thought I'd be good at it. And the other one is, I worked with an agent, and it was a horrible experience, and I knew I could do better. I've heard that quite a few times. And you guys know, we've got some great agents here, and I know that you have worked on the other side or with the other side and gone, oh my gosh, this agent, regardless of experience, regardless if they were in the business for 20 years or 1 year, this can creep out where they were just horrible. Poor communication, poorly written offers, messy contracts, not good negotiators, not good at writing additional provisions, which maybe it was in the benefit of your client that they weren't good at these things. But think if your client was working with that agent.
Yeah, the disservice.
By writing a poorly written contract, you put people at risk of lawsuits. You put people at risk of losing earnest money. You put people at risk of not getting what they want.
Yeah, or something that they thought they were getting. Maybe they asked for something in an inspection, but it wasn't worded correctly, and they actually aren't getting that repair they were hoping for. So
I would think that you'd be able to, whoever this client is or a potential client, when they're saying, hey, why do you get paid what you get paid? Will you discount? And when you come and say, let me tell you how I work, let me show you the process, let me show you some of the value things that I do that are going to help benefit you, that you might also be able to articulate. I don't want you to be with someone who maybe is less of a realtor or a real estate agent or a licensee. Someone, because I've worked with these people who really don't watch their contracts, don't watch their dates and deadlines. And this is what makes me a true professional. So being able to articulate that in the right manner, we never want to knock other people down, but they're out there. Unprofessional people are out there in every industry, or just people who really don't have the highest standards of professionalism. And that could be in anything, whether it's a car salesman or a CPA or a dentist. Everyone's got a different way of doing business, and hopefully you can articulate that, you're doing it a higher level, a higher service for your clients, and this is why I get paid what I get paid.
Exactly. And I'm just going to pop down here and take a look at some questions, because I think we've had a few people chime in. So let's see, Crystal, many listings have the buyer's agent commission at 2.5 now. Is this because the seller's agent is lowering their commission too? It's hard to say exactly what's going on behind the curtain, but sometimes when a listing agent does take a lower commission, they will split out and make a lesser buyer's agent commission. Not always the case, but yeah, sometimes that is the case, and why you're seeing some of those lower commission amounts is they're just taking a certain commission amount, splitting it in half. Listing agent gets a portion of that, and then the buyer agent gets a portion of that as well. So
yeah, but they could also be saying, this is such a great hot market. I'm going to have a ton of people with buyers, and Mr. Seller, you don't have to pay that much. And that's why I'm saying that in the future, that might go lower and lower, or go away altogether, and people start saying marketing fee, buyer fee. Mm-hmm. So you're going to want to, hone your skills to be able to convey your service so that you can make up the difference or be paid in whole. I mean, what if that said $100? And that legally could happen.
Yeah.
Right now, the co-op with MLS states that we have to offer a fee.
Doesn't say how much.
Doesn't say how much. It could be $1, and you would be in compliance. Now, we at Equity don't like that. We want people to be paid. We believe in what we do. We believe in the buyer agencies out there, and we want people to be compensated appropriately. But there may be a change down the road.
Mm-hmm. So the only other comment was just Bess saying, I forgot about the MLS books. So thank you for chiming in on that. Yeah, most people are like, MLS books? What are you talking about? Yeah.
So your ability to negotiate, huge. Mm-hmm. Knowing your contracts, knowing the market, the local market, knowing how to get your buyer what they want is a huge reason why you would not want to reduce your commission, or why you want to show your value over someone else. Maybe they're not as good as you are. And it doesn't mean that you have to be in the business for 20 years. Mm-hmm. To be able to say this, you can be a newer agent and just say, you know what, I have taken my time to learn, to be a professional, to really understand what's going on in today's market. And yes, I'm newer to the industry, but that actually gives me a leg up because I'm very current on what's happening, because some of these people have been around for 20, 30, 40 years. Sometimes don't stay as current. Just longevity in the industry does not mean one is good. What makes one good is what one does.
Yeah, and it's funny, I'll let you peek into my history just for a quick snippet. The very first listing that I took by myself, I stood in front of the client, the seller, and they said, how much experience do you have? And I said, I am new to the industry, but I am the most eager realtor you will find in the marketplace today. You are my only priority because you will be my first listing, and I can guarantee when you call, I will answer. When you have a question, I will help you. And if I don't know the answer, I will figure it out. They didn't even ask to see my marketing. They said, where do we sign? They wanted someone that was going to make them a priority, and they didn't care that I didn't know everything. So don't be afraid if you're newer to the industry. You don't have to have all these years backing you to be exceptional.
Well done. I like that. That sounds really good. But it's true. And I can recall being brand new as well, and I was only 22. You were 19, 20, something like that when you started. So young, but eager, excited, knew what we knew and knew what we didn't know, but weren't afraid to say, hey, that's why I've got the company behind me. That's why I've got the boss behind me to help with any of those types of legal things that maybe I don't know. And I'll lean on them, but lean on you're excited. And it's funny how they want to be your first transaction. If they like you, that's what this business is about. Is
they want you to succeed.
People want to see people succeed in life.
So don't be bashful.
Don't be bashful. So you don't have to be doing this for 20 years to win.
And in case the question comes up, how do I learn to be a better negotiator? How do I learn how to do listing presentations and buyer consultations? There are so many classes out there. I've taken quite a few negotiating classes, and every time I take one, I learn something new. So whether you're brand new or whether you're seasoned, go to the Smedger website, go to the DMAR website, go to Cox Education. I mean, there's so many different Van Ed. There's a lot of in-person and there's a lot of online resources. And take these classes, because that's where you're going to be able to role play. That's where you're going to see dialogues. That's where you're going to learn human psychology and just things that you need to in your arsenal in order to help you learn these skills. They don't just come overnight. You do have to work at them.
And then practice.
And practice.
If you're going to do a buyer consultation, you better have done it 20 times with your spouse, your friend, your neighbor, your dog.
Set up your iPad on record and just talk to it, play it back, and go, oh, I need to fix a couple things.
So what are some other things that you can show your expertise and maybe why you're not going to reduce your commission?
I think we named off the big ones.
Those are the big ones. Negotiating, helping people through the transaction.
Knowing contracts inside and out.
Knowing contracts and your professionalism. So here's your friend. You've helped them in the past for the last 3 purchases. And now they think they know everything. They know how to buy a home. And they come to you and say, will you reduce your commission? I can go down the street to ABC Real Estate and they'll give me back X amount. What do you do?
You need to know your bright line. Are you willing to negotiate on your commission or not? I don't. I say, I've really valued our relationship. I really appreciate your loyalty. I would love to represent you again and do X, Y, and Z for you. And if all you're looking for is a good deal, I am not that person.
And then I'd follow that up with, and do you have 30 minutes for us to get together again, to sit down for coffee, and let me go over again what makes me a true professional in this industry and how I can help you navigate your transaction and most likely even save you money by negotiating well for you or get you that house that maybe you can't get. Give me 30 minutes just to explain once again what I do. Trying to do this on the phone has always been something I just won't do. I do not want to try and sell my services over the phone. You need a face-to-face or Zoom-to-Zoom and sit down and talk. Because sometimes, the thought of saving $5,000 or whatever it is to that buyer or to that seller, it sounds really good. And then you have the face-to-face, the relationship, and that right there can sometimes just win over, that's right. That is why I bought 3 homes from this person in the past. This is why I've listed in the past, because I feel comfortable, I feel safe, And then you can always throw out the fun little Jim, Sam, Terry, whatever their name is, and say, I'm sure I've told you this before. But when you go to the dentist, or if you're looking for a dentist, and you can use dentist, CPA, doctor, whatever, but I like dentist because I'm scared of the dentist. I don't like the dentist. When you go to the dentist, I know me, I want to go and not feel pain because I'm apprehensive. I'm nervous. And so when I chose a dentist, one, I looked for referrals. People have been there, and that's how you and I met. I looked for referrals. People have been there, had good past experiences. I want someone who's got the current technology. You know what? There's new technology out there for when they give you that shot. That's probably the thing that hurts the most. There's new things out there that do little vibrating things, and it kind of numbs you up. And then the guy I've got right now, he's amazing. I tell everyone about him. He does a wonderful job. And the hygienist, she's been doing it for 15 years, so gentle, and she compliments me on my teeth. I will pay extra for that experience because what's my number one thing? Obviously, clean teeth. But I don't want to feel pain.
Comfort.
And I know you, Jim. We've known each other for a long time. You like to have a good experience. A good experience, you have to pay for. So I might be a little bit more expensive, but I can tell you that it's not going to hurt. It's going to be a smooth transaction. You're going to get what you want. And in the end, you're going to remember why we worked in the past together. Use a story like that, because that's true. I mean, truly, I have had horrible dentists, and you hear people say, I hate realtors. I had a horrible experience and never want to work with one again. Really? Is that what you say if you had a bad experience with a CPA, doctor, dentist? I'm never going to go see the dentist again. No.
You can find a better one.
Find a better one. Find a great one.
And then know that you're not going to be able to be everything for everyone. And there may be a couple situations where you just have to walk away. Maybe it isn't a referral, maybe it's a sign call and you do a buyer consultation and they just don't see your value. It's okay to draw that bright line and say, you know what, I'm going to put my effort into someone else who does appreciate what it is that I do. And sometimes you just have to know that you're not going to be able to please everyone.
And that's why
okay.
we said the bright line. Know where you're willing to give, if you're willing to give it all. Make that your standard of practice.
Yep.
Not something you have to wonder about, because then you're like, oh, I don't know. You know who you are, what you do, what you're willing to give up or not give up. And it doesn't hurt. You, like they said, you don't win them all. And that's okay, because you're setting your business model, and you can't, be everything to everyone. If someone just wants a cheap, inexpensive deal and they think that they can handle most of the frustrations and anything that might, come along the way, bumps, that's why there's comfort dentals out there. I mean, not everyone is top of the line, and that's okay. You guys are, but set that bright line. And if you're willing to come down something, please, when negotiate dollars, not percentages. That would be my final parting words. Percentages don't sound exciting to people, and they're huge to us. When you give up a 1% on 6% fee, you gave up 30% of your commission. Give up dollars.
Yeah. Exactly. No, if you walk into a department store and you see a sign that says 1% off, you're going to be like,
big deal.
What? But if it actually says $500 off or $1,000 off, that's going to be a lot more appealing to you.
So, yeah, try not to give away percentages, give away dollars, but have that bright line so that you know who you are and what you're willing to do.
Yeah. Any questions, guys? If you have some, throw them our way. We're right on time. We want to be respectful of your time and not run over. I don't see anything.
All right.
Thanks so much for watching today, you guys.
Have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you next Monday. Look for the little update later today. Exciting news, like I said.
Yeah, and then we've got February sales meeting coming up. So it is not this week, but it is the following Wednesday, February 9th. So that will be virtual as well here on Facebook. We're excited to see you guys then.
All right. Take
care.
care.
Have a great
See
week.
ya.